Mass and balance. Objectives. After completing this section, you will get familiar with general information, datum plane, mass and balance report, flight mass and CG position, and equipment list and equipment inventory. General information. The mass and balance envelope sets the acceptable limits for the airplane's center of gravity position. The airplane must fly within the allowable permissible center of gravity range to ensure safe flight operation, as described in the aircraft flight manual. The empty mass and corresponding center of gravity position are determined before the airplane delivery. It is then the responsibility of the pilot to adhere to permissible values of loading and center of gravity. The movement of center of gravity due to fuel consumption should be monitored during the flight. Note: following equipment changes, the new empty mass and the corresponding CG position must be determined by calculation or by weighing. Following repairs or repainting, the new empty mass and the corresponding CG position must be determined by weighing. Empty mass CG position, and the empty mass moment must be certified in the mass and balance report by an authorized person. Datum plane. The airplane's longitudinal axis is determined while leveling the airplane with a 600:31 ratio wedge placed on top of the rear fuselage near the vertical stabilizer. Additionally, a spirit level is used to align the wedge surface horizontally. The airplane's longitudinal axis is parallel to the upper surface of this wedge. The reference datum plane used for calculating the center of gravity is a plane that is normal to the longitudinal axis of the airplane. It is located in front of the airplane and is vertical if the longitudinal axis is leveled. The plane is placed 2.194 meters in front of the most forward point of the root rib on the stub wing. Mass and balance report. The first entry in the mass and balance report must be the empty mass and corresponding CG position, which are established before the delivery. All the changes in the airplane equipment, which affect the empty mass or the empty mass CG, must be recorded, such as changes in permanently installed equipment or repairs done to the airplane. Note: for the calculation of flight mass and corresponding CG position, the current empty mass and the corresponding CG position, in accordance with the mass and balance report, must always be used. To establish the empty mass of the airplane, the onboard equipment must be as per the equipment list in the AFM. The calculation must include the mass of brake fluid, lubricant, coolant, gearbox oil, and unusable fuel. Flight mass and CG position. The following are the requirements for calculating flight mass and the corresponding CG. Moment arms. Loading diagram. Calculation of loading diagram. Permissible center of gravity range and permissible moment range. These allow the pilot to fly the airplane within the permissible mass and balance limits. The first step in determining the CG is to enter the empty mass and empty mass moment of your airplane from the mass and balance report, here in the calculation of loading condition table, in the appropriate boxes. Next, determine the fuel quantity from the fuel quantity indicator. If the airplane is equipped with a long-range tank, it does not indicate a fuel quantity higher than 15 gallons. In such a case, measure the exact fuel quantity by the alternate fuel quantity indicator. To obtain the moment for each loading item, multiply their individual masses with quoted moment arms. Enter the resulting moments in the appropriate boxes. To calculate the CG position, divide the total moment by the total related mass. Then, locate this value on the permissible CG range diagram. The resulting value must stay within the envelope limits. To simplify CG determination, airplane manufacturers provide graphs called loading diagrams. Moments of individual components can be obtained from the loading diagram without calculations. Then these moments are plotted against the flight mass in the permissible moment range diagram. CG positions determined at the intersection must stay within the permissible range. This method is called as the graphical method. Note: the result found with the graphical method is inaccurate. In doubtful cases, the result must be verified using the standard CG calculation method. Equipment list and equipment inventory. The equipment that is approved to be installed on the DA40NG is listed in the table as shown. The equipment that is marked as installed in this table constitutes the equipment inventory. The complete list can be found in the AFM. Note: the equipment listed in the inventory list cannot be installed in any arbitrary combination. The airplane manufacturer must be contacted before removing or installing the equipment, with the exception of replacing a unit with an identical unit. Summary: with this section, you got familiar with general information, datum plane, mass and balance report, flight mass and CG position, and equipment list and equipment inventory.